Hello everyone, Simon here. Welcome back to the architecture of Deus Ex Mankind Divided. We are still in Prague. Alright, so in this video we are going to look in the at the interiors of some of the buildings around Prague. So the buildings around Prague, they're not that special, right? So these are like minor locations, so don't expect anything too crazy. But they are worth looking at, I think. They're kind of interesting. So first of all, we have the Zelen apartments. So the Zelen apartments is where Adam Jensen's own apartment is. This block here, you can barely see that there's Zelen. And at the front door there, we see the outside looks like the old Baroque architecture, but we do have some fancy lights. Look at that, look at those lights. And then as we walk inside the front door, we have some fancy lighting in the roof, mixed with the old stonework, and a lot of graffiti too. So this side of the city, if you remember, is not well maintained. Right, so it's poorly maintained and there's a lot of graffiti. Nobody sweeps the floor. But they do have money for fancy lights, which I find curious.
Just plug it out.
Right, they don't have money to upkeep the place, but the lights are intact. Look at those lights, pretty cool, right? And then look at this fountain. The fountain, it's an old fountain with fancy lights installed into the fountain. Very curious, very interesting.
No posing.
It's not easy to do something like this, by the way. Can I climb up there? No? Alright, you can't climb up there. But like, how do they do that? How do you like fit the light into there? I guess they just put like a ring light underneath the plate there. Anyway, fancy lights. But aside from the fancy lights, everything is just like run down and not very interesting at all. Oh, there are like side entrances. So for the video game, for gameplay, this makes sense because this allows you to access different parts of the city easily. But from a security perspective, you wouldn't want to do this, especially the other side. This side, this entrance just goes into a dark alleyway. It's just like a dark, scary alleyway. So you wouldn't leave this open. So it's the sort of thing where, you know, in like a big city, the back doors are usually closed. It's just permanently locked. Because it's a security problem, right? Okay, so let's go upstairs. Oh,
Oh man, I need a hit.
the architecture's not bad, right? Aside from the maintenance issues, if you imagine they cleaned this place up a little bit, it would have been quite nice. So it's not that it's inherently bad, it's just poorly maintained. If we come up the stairs though, we go very quickly into this concrete stuff. So this may or may not be historic, but this is not historic, right? That does not seem historic. It doesn't seem historic. So like these square concrete blocks looks like modern stuff. And if we come up here, this doorway for example, this looks modern. The concrete back there looks modern.
Biocells, painkiller.
And then in here, we see the inside of the apartment. Timber frame and timber flooring. And timber goes down there as well. We come in here, we can see the walls are timber on the inside, right? So it's timber divisions and floors. I mean, presumably it's stone on the outside. Although it might not actually be stone, it could be just like a stone veneer over something else. It could be stone veneer over brick, because we've seen brick inside the buildings in some of the other places that have, like, where the wall has broken off, you can see like bricks on the inside. So it could be like a brick building with stone veneers on the outside. But we do see like timber in here. So again, like the detailing, it's not bad. So this used to be a moderately fancy apartment, right? Quite modern, except with some traditional looking detailing.
Whatever you need, I've got
The
it.
door frames are a little bit interesting. Yeah, so a lack of maintenance. Oh, look at the floors too. That's interesting. Timber floor there, not bad. It could have been nice, but it's just been allowed to decay. Somebody's put up fairy lights there. Interesting. And all the apartments are pretty much the same. I'm not sure if there's much to say about it. It's all just like a big room, and then you have like a bathroom, and then you have a kitchen,
Must be nothing.
and that's pretty much it. It's like a kitchen and lounge. This one, the bed is here. There's no separate bedroom. In some of these side ones, there's a separate bedroom. What's going on here?
Everyone clear the scene.
Alright, the cops are having a chat with that guy. So we have like a bedroom to the side. We have some kids things there. Girls! Girls from Paris! We have a bedroom, and then like a kitchen, dining, and then like a lounge, and then a bathroom. And that's pretty much every single apartment, right? Oh, nice little bath. Modern. Alright. So let's keep moving up. I don't think there's too much to say about these apartments. As I said, it's a lot of filler. Right? It's a lot of filler, and not a lot of care has gone into this. Like it serves. It's not bad. It's just there's just not much depth, right? Again, we have the timber floors. This one's a little bit better maintained. You can see that we've got fancy wallpaper, exposed timber framing. We have, is this tile? Alright, fancy tiles on the bathroom. It's just grime, right? Just grime and wear and tear. Not a bad apartment, just poorly maintained. At the top, though, we do have one special apartment that we should spend more time in. Not this one. Hold on, just check this one. Right, fence, got lights up there. So over here, this is Adam Jensen's apartment, and he lives in a different apartment from everybody else. So Adam Jensen's apartment is bespoke, as they say. It's especially designed for him. Oh, look at that. We have the fans, we have the light filtering in. Very noir. A very noir feel to it. What can we say about this? So on the inside, it looks like we're in the attic space. So you have like the floors, and then the roof kind of goes up a little bit. It looks like we're in the roof space, in the attic space. But we're actually not, because if we come back, we are actually on the top floor, and then above the top floor is the attic space. And you might say, okay, so we are here, and then the attic's up there. But if you look at the height of that, and you look at the height of this, it doesn't quite match, and there should be like windows up there, because if you look, there's like windows up there. So anyway, the outside doesn't match the inside, not quite. Instead, the windows are like there instead of up there. And like that's a kitchen, it's completely sealed off. So there's windows on that side. And windows windows on that side. Kind of. So the outside doesn't quite match the inside. I think they originally conceived of this as actually being in the attic space, being like one floor above still. But they couldn't make that work, so they just put it like this. Here we see that it is actually brick. So the structure is brick infill inside a timber frame. So that's reasonable, but a timber frame building, it's difficult to get a timber frame building this tall, right? So it's not just the timber holding up the building. The brick infill if we assume the whole building is like this, the brick infill also is load bearing. So the brick infill carries load as well as the timber. But what you would do is you would like build the timber frame and then you fill it in with brick. And the timber frame gives you like a box. And you just kind of fill the inside with brick. And then after that you put the next floor on. And then the weight above sits on the brick as well as sitting on the timber columns. The timber columns by themselves I don't think would be enough to come up like 1, 2, 3, 4 floors and a roof. So it would have to be like the combination of the brick and the timber to hold up the weight. And then presumably facing the brick is the stone veneer. Just like a thin layer of fancy stone. And these columns are like, they're not really columns, they're just like a stone veneer on top of the brick, right? Like the real structure is timber columns with brick, not stone columns with stone. So we have like the diagonal bits is the structural rafters. So that's the structure, that's the timber frame holding up the roof. And this is not structure, this is just a partition. A non-structural partition, right? So I think that's what's going on here. And then inside, we have like very dark floors, very dark walls, and then the lights, the bright lights and the dark surfaces. So this is very atmospheric, very noir, a very high contrast. And it looks good in a video game. But don't do this in real life because it's incredibly impractical in real life. It looks good, but if you live in a house like this, it would piss you off very quickly. So the dark surfaces, the way a room works, so if you look behind my head, like look down here, you see how like I have white ceilings and white walls? What happens is you have one light, I have one light over that way, and the light, I only have one light on in the whole room. It's a pretty big room too, but the white ceiling and the white walls reflect the light, and the light comes back in, and so like because the surfaces are white, it reflects the light efficiently, and one light can light the whole room. If you have black surfaces, so that's white there, but most of the other surfaces are black. If you have black surfaces, the black surfaces don't reflect as much light. In fact, it doesn't reflect much light at all. And so the light doesn't reflect back in, and so whatever comes out of the light bulb is all the light you're gonna get. And what that means is the whole room is gonna be a lot dimmer if you have black surfaces. And so here, look at this. You have all those lights, and all these lights, and then all those lights, and then all those lights, and then the windows are open. And then you have all those lights, so you have a butt ton of lights. And the room is still super dark. Because it's incredibly inefficient trying to light a black room, right? Because the room just doesn't reflect the light back in. So you spend a lot of money on lights and on electricity. And then, look at this. Like, you are looking straight at the lights too, look at this. Like, this stuff is at eye level. Now, in the game, it seems fine. But the game, the way the video game renders the light is not the same as how this would look in the real world. If you have like a light bulb, if you're like you know, if I look directly at the light bulb, it actually hurts my eyes because of how bright it is. Right? You can try that if you want. Like, if it's nighttime where you are, just look directly at your light bulb, and it kind of is like pretty bright, and like the glare kind of blots everything out, and you can't see anything. So if the game actually rendered this light accurately, if I stand here, I can't see anything else because there'll be so much glare from the light bulb right in front of my face that I can't see anything. So this would not work in real life. The only reason this works in game is because it's artificial, right? The game, the graphics engine cannot render the light bulb at the actual brightness that it is at. And so you can still see everything else, when in reality it just wouldn't work. So yeah. Or like it's very difficult to make this work. Like you would have to have a lot of very dim lights. You can do this, but they'll be like very dim lights. If you don't want to have so much glare that you can't see anything else. And it wouldn't look like this, it would just look really dim. It's just really dim light in a dark room. Like this? This? Yeah, no, so you can, like, this is not realistic lighting, right? If you like had lights like that and you're like staring into it like this, you wouldn't be able to see the TV screen, you wouldn't be able to see any of that stuff because it would just be too much glare, right? So, yeah, if any of you if you're thinking, oh, I want a room like this, how do I make my room look like this? You kind of can't, because this is fake, right? You can't actually do this in real life. You can do something similar, but it would be like really impractical. But hey, in the game it looks really cool. So there's that. We have a kitchen. And everything's black for everything's black for some really impractical reason, but everything's black. Modern kitchen. And then we have these wood panels. Look at these. These look like historic wood panels. They might have been recycled from somewhere else. It could be that this building was renovated from an old historic building into a modern-ish apartment, and then they just kind of reused some of the old parts. Because these wall panels look like they're mismatched. So it could be just kind of recycled antique wall panels put on the walls there. Anything to say about this? So this is kind of cool. The fact that we are supposed to be in the roof space and you have like diagonal walls, that looks cool, right? There's something about diagonal walls that look futuristic. Even though it's kind of just this is a pretty simple trick. Oh, fancy chairs. We can get up into the rafters, but there's not much to see up there. Should I do that? Let me just get up there. So you just jump up. We can see it's just timber. So it looks like it's a timber frame and then timber panels, and then I guess above that would be the sheet metal of the roof. Not much to say about any of this. Let's get back down. So we have kitchen, lounge, a bit of a dining, and then in the corridor we have bathroom, shower, laundry, toilet, and then further in we have the bedroom. We have these lights, very impractical, but it looks kind of cool. Imagine like lying in bed and it's like, oh, it's like stars in the sky or something. But kind of finicky. Finicky and probably prone to breaking, unfortunately. Not too much to say, although it's kind of interesting. Like, looks like it's like antique table with a modern chair, and then there's like an antique wardrobe, and then like a modern bed. So there's like an interesting mix of like really old things and also really new things. I guess that's the aesthetic they're going for in the whole game. And obviously we have the windows out there. And that's pretty much Adam's apartment. Not too much else to say, I don't think. No, it's a shame that you really can't get this effect. This kind of high contrast noir effect. Like, you can do noir in films. But you know, like, I don't know if you know, but like in a film, often in order to like get the lighting right, you have like really bright lights shining directly at the actors. And sometimes, like when you're filming, the actors actually can't see anything because there's so much glare from the stage lights. So it looks good on TV, or it looks good on a big screen. But from the actor's perspective, right, they can't see anything because it's just glare. So yeah, don't trust everything you see on screen, because a lot of the time they kind of fake the lighting to make things look better than it actually is. And this is that, like this is fake. You can't do this. Before we leave, we can hop out the window here. So Adam's apartment, from the outside, there's actually like an old medieval bit on top of the Baroque building, which really doesn't make any sense. I don't know why this is here, but there's like an old medieval stone building with like a round tower there, and then like diagonal windows. Even though the wall is vertical, but somehow the windows are diagonal, which doesn't make any sense either. So from the outside, it's just I don't know what's going on. Why would like this bit doesn't match that bit down there? Like there's like a weird mismatch between the two different parts of the building. And the diagonal windows, I guess they should be up there, but it's down here. So anyway, it's they're just gonna budget. Alrighty, that's good. Whatever. Don't look too closely. Oh, I guess we just jump off. I'm a cyborg! Okay, so that's the Zelen apartments. We are going... Okay, Time Machine Bookstore is next. Let's go walk around this way. In fact, let's run. Run. So the next thing we want to look at is the Time Machine Bookstore. Remember the bookstore with the arch made of books at the front entrance? There you go, the Time Machine Bookstore. So the bookstore is a significant location in the game. You have to come here at one point to find the person. And it's a little bit different from all the other buildings. First of all, it's not as tall as any of the other buildings, which is a little strange because even if you have shops down the bottom, often you have like shops down the bottom and residential up the top. Just because in the middle of the city, land price is expensive, and so you want to use the land more effectively by building more stories. But the bookstore, for gameplay reasons, is only 2 stories. Also, the colors are different. If you remember Prague, the colors are quite light. It's very kind of pastel colors, kind of bright, fun, light colors. Here we have this kind of intense maroon, brownish red sort of color here, which is uncharacteristic of Prague. But it does make this building look a little different, look a little bit special, right? Inside the bookstore, guess what's inside the bookstore, you guys? It's books. Inside the bookstore, there are books everywhere. Yeah, it's a rather large bookstore, huh? Wall shelves all the way to the ceiling, and most of it looks old. Look at that, it looks like an old ceiling, old timber detailing. Except there's a modern light fixture there, replacing what used to be an old chandelier, I guess. So everything looks old, but it's not. You see that window up there? So back in the Baroque era, they never did that with the windows. Like the wall, and then like, you know, columns, and then like a gap between the roof and the wall. They never did that back in the Baroque era. So that's a very modern sort of a thing to do. And like the slightly sloped ceiling up there, they never did that either. They had flat ceilings, because sloping ceiling is kind of difficult. So this is a very modern thing to do, and that's a very modern thing to do. So what this looks like is that they've made a modern renovation to an old building, and they've reused the ceiling panels from the historic building onto the modern roof. So they're kind of reusing elements. So it's kind of, again, this mix between modern architecture and historic architecture, reusing the old bits in the new buildings. Anyway, let's walk around. So we have the front desk of the bookstore, and then there's just a whole bunch of books down here, right? A whole lot of books Another room back here with more books. A bit of a storage. And then through here, another room with more books. So, about books. You know, these days, people don't buy that many books anymore, even in our time. And in the future, apparently they have like electronic devices, electronic reading devices. And the actual books in the game is like a glass slab, and you have like kind of text appearing on the glass slab. So you can't actually read paper books in the game. You can't read the glass slab books. So books, they're like antiques in the future, in the world of Deus Ex. They're like a thing, like a niche thing that if you like his old things, if you're some kind of hipster, you would like read a real book. But most people don't. Most people just have electronic reading devices. I just like I don't. I'm not sure like the economics of this is plausible. The idea that you can have such a big bookstore that sells books and be able to pay the rent on a shop this size. You know what I mean? Like I imagine, like even today, large bookstores have a hard time having enough business to keep the bookstore open, right? Because who buys books anymore? Nobody buys books anymore. And if you bought books, you don't go to the bookstore to buy books. You just kind of order them online these days. So like, you know, the economics of this is a bit suspect. If it was like a small bookstore, okay, I get it. It's like a specialty store. It's like a niche thing. But it's a little odd to me to have such a large bookstore. Like, I haven't seen a large bookstore like this in ages. I mean, I guess they still exist. It's just like, it's very difficult to have enough business to keep a bookstore this big going. And I just don't think it's gonna work anymore anyway. What I'm trying to say is it's hard to maintain the suspension of disbelief. To have a bookstore. Like, if the bookstore is like a quarter this size, I would believe it. Anyway, back here we have a bit of a back room. What's going on here? I think this is shipping. This is where they like bring books in and ship them out. We have like an office back here. It's not a public part of the store. And then back here we open up into the street again. So I guess this is shipping. Maybe book maintenance. Maybe you can like repair damaged books, although there's not that many tools for it. If you want to repair damaged books, you need like vices and clamps to like, because you have to glue, if a book is broken, you have to kind of glue the book back together, and you need like vices and clamps to hold the paper together as the glue dries. So there's no real book repair equipment here, except there's like bottles and things. You might imagine like there'll be like glue, bottles of glue, and then there's like an industrial sink if you need to wash things out. I don't know. I feel like maybe if they put some vices and like workbenches with kind of like clamps, they could imply that they're repairing books here as well. At the moment, it looks like it's just shipping with crates and stuff. I just noticed this. So this is what a book looks like in the future, an ebook. So in the fictional world of the game, a book is like this. It's a slab of glass with electronics, and the text appears like that. So why would anybody have stacks of paper like this when this is what a book is in the future, right? So it's like, you know, how could a store like this make money? Why would anybody buy stacks of paper when this is what books look like? So yeah, I don't know, it doesn't make any sense to me. I'm worried about the gameplay. So the reason for the gameplay reason for the bookstore being so big is because when you come looking for the store owner, he's under attack by the Dvalis. So there's like a bunch of enemies roaming around shooting the place up. And in order to make that enough of a challenge, the shop has to be big enough that you can try to sneak around all the gangsters to get to the guy. So it's a video game level, and so the video game level has to be big enough for you to interact with the enemies and the environment. So that's why the level's so big. So like from a like a narrative perspective, why would the bookstore be so big? Doesn't make any sense. But from a gameplay perspective, they needed a space this big, and so they just kind of made the bookstore this big. That's why the bookstore is so big in the game. Otherwise, narratively, it's a bit strange, right? And that's why there's like vents. There's like random vents in the bookshelves. That's for gameplay, right? So you go into the vents, you sneak around. As we get up here, you can see more clearly the ceiling is slightly sloped. Look at that. So that's the flat bit, and then it kind of slopes up a little bit. And then there's like window there. It's a little strange that there's not window all the way around though. I don't know if that's like an oversight, but if that's window, you would expect like that bit there to also be window, and then that little sliver there to also be window. Not sure why like that would be filled in. Like, can I get up to the window or not? I don't think I can. Let me try to jump up there. Oh wow, I just fell through the floor? That's crazy. What happened? Alright, so if I stand here, if I jump... No, I can't get up there. Oh, where am I? I'm standing on some books, but I can't get any further up. But I am standing on some books. What is happening? Oh, there's like a little ledge. Okay, this is not helpful. I wanted to see outside the window there, never mind. Not too important. So upstairs there's more books, more books, more books, more books. Except for this here, there's a little half-hidden hallway. And then you get to the manager's office in here. So this is well, first of all, it's more books. Secondly, there's his desk, but the whole place is ransacked. Thirdly, look at that. There's like a backlit glass roof, or a glass ceiling, backlit glass ceiling, which you would imagine is pretty cool, except that for some reason, in the game, the light doesn't actually light up the space. So you know, I said like the lighting in the game is all fake and you know, it's not real lighting. It's not physically accurate lighting. There's no way this would be this dark when there's like a glowing ceiling, right? I don't know if they made a mistake here or if this is on purpose or what, but this looks super strange, and there's no way you can make a room look like this in the real world. Like, there's no way it could be this dark down here and this bright up here, right? I don't know. I just like use your imagination. Imagine if there was actually a glass ceiling, backlit, and then it just floods the room with light. It'd be a pretty nice space, pretty cool lighting effect. As it is, I don't know what's going on. And back here, oh, a secret door. Wait, no, what are you doing? Inside the secret door, we have cybernetic arms and legs, and fancy light fixture, and an elevator. So the gameplay, the story is, and the game story is, in a service elevator. Hidden inside the bookstore, underground, is an augmentation clinic, like an illegal augmentation clinic. So we have a bunch of limbs hanging on the ceiling. This is the guy who is your personal doctor. And there's the chair where he operates on you, and there's like blood on the floor, which is not reassuring. So, yeah, it's not really a bookstore. It's just a front. It's a front for a hidden augmentation clinic. The game never really explains in detail the economics of this, but he's the only org clinic in the entire city that we know of. So it could be that all the orgs come to him for services, and he makes a lot of money from doing this. Possibly. And this is why he can afford the rent at the bookstore upstairs, because I still can't believe the bookstore makes much money, right? I don't believe anybody buys any books anymore. So I mean, okay, yeah, but it's still suspicious because, like, if you have such a big bookstore, how do you pay the rent? And then obviously something else is going on. But there's a lot of illegal stuff going on in the city, so maybe he's just one of the players, and and nobody's surprised that there's illegal stuff going on down here. Not much to say architecturally. It's just like a basement with a lot of graffiti and computers. Okay, let's keep moving. We do have a back door out here. Let me come out this way. So this game has sewers. The sewers look like this for the most part, but they're like hallways. They don't really function as sewers, because this is supposed to be a sewer, right? It's okay, so the water channel, alright, you might think, oh no, this seems reasonable. Except this goes up, so the water comes down here, and then it just goes nowhere. It's a secret door, but the door closes. Presumably it's not. It's watertight. Presumably. So where does the water go, right? So yeah, I don't know. So the sewers don't make sense in this game. They're just spaces for gameplay. So I'm not going to spend any time looking at the sewers, really. Because there's really no architectural merit to the sewers. A lot of video games have sewers, and almost all the time, they're not very good. I mean, by good I mean, they're not really plausible as sewers, and so you don't really learn anything from them. Anyway, moving on. So the next thing we want to look at is back here. So these cops, right? They are raiding this building here. This is the Church of the Machine God. It's not really a church. They've taken over the apartment block here. So there's an apartment block back here. And the Church of the Machine God are people who believe in the Ascension. The Ascension is what they call when you upload your consciousness into a computer and you merge all your consciousness together into one super consciousness, right? So they're kind of uploading their brains into a computer and they're connecting all their brains together into one big brain. So that's what the Church of the Machine God is doing in this apartment block. They filled the place with like computers and machines, and you can see up there's a whole lot of cables and wires. Oh, they've been raided by the police too, that's why they're all tied up.
You're right, I'm sure.
So here in the courtyard of the apartment block we have a whole lot of machines and wires. This is open to the sky, by the way, so it rains in here. It rains on all these machines and computers and wires. It seems like a safety hazard to me. I don't think this mixes well with the rain. The apartment block itself, we have, what is that, brick? And then we have the same stone stuff. So a fairly ordinary apartment block. If it weren't for the fact that the Church of the Machine God has put all these electronics in here, right? There's a back door out into an enclosed courtyard out the back. So again, it's open to the sky above, and it's just a bunch of wires and a bunch of machines exposed to the rain. There's no way this stuff is waterproof. Come on. Alright, let's go upstairs.
The Avatar.
So all the apartments are more or less the same layout. There's like a courtyard, there's 2 staircases, and then there's apartments up the staircases. And this is the same, right? So we have staircase, next floor we have apartments,
I have not done anything
except the
wrong.
apartments have been taken over by the machine god cult.
I was you.
Here they have, oh, weapon storage, sweet.
Žádnej z nich nemá důvod vycházet z téhle čtvrti.
What does that say? A holographic display table.
I
Oh,
have not done
cool.
anything wrong. They should
So
not
we
be
have,
protected.
oh, real candles. Real candle. They have lights, but they have candles. Why do you have candles? The candles are redundant.
I know my rights.
We have a bit of a clinic here, I think. Oh, blood on the floor. So I guess this is like the weapon storage and the clinic. They've like each apartment they've used it for a different
Ty
thing.
plecháči si koledujou o naklad.
And then in this one we have a mess hall. You can see they have bacon and eggs. Nice, and toast. So here on this side
Must be a domestic dispute.
they've taken all the stoves from all the apartments and put them into one kitchen to make one big kitchen. So this is the communal kitchen and dining. Everybody eats here and cooks here, right? So you have pancakes, bacon and eggs and sausages and toast. And then toilets. I don't know if the toilets still function. But you would imagine that they would need toilets given how many people they have.
What are these people thinking?
Right, so you have clinic, you have mess hall, and then on this side we have the dormitories, right? So you have a lot of beds,
Should we call it?
they all sleep here. I don't think any of the showers work anymore, so you know, just imagine the smell. like just think, like there's this many people. There's not that many toilets, and there's no showers anymore. I mean that's gonna kill them more than anything else, just disease and hygiene. Okay, so the first floor is the, can I get past?
You speak
The first floor is like the living stuff, right? This is the food, the clinic, and the sleeping. And then up another floor, here we have
Nothing now, but
computers. So this is like the main server farm, I guess. There's just a whole lot of computers up here. So the standard residential apartment probably doesn't have an electrical wiring system sufficient to power all these computers, right? Like you would blow out the fuses and melt the wires if you try to put this much power through them. Possibly some of these are additional power cables. Maybe these are power cables. But if you want to run this many computers, you need like a lot of electricity, and just your normal house would not be able to sustain or to support this much electrical gear. I mean, I guess they have a lot of cables, and maybe some of these are power cables. And candle, what is with the candles? There's no way you light candles next to computers like this. Oh, and like the fan for ventilation. I mean, like, okay, like they have power cables, they have ventilation. There's no way, right? There's no way we trust this to work. I mean, kind of.
interrupt you
It's
something?
kind of plausible, but also not really. In the next apartment, more computers. Okay, there's a lot of computers. Alright, once again, a lot of computers.
Keep it down.
And then in the next apartment we have... Oh, what's going on here? This looks like a chapel or a prayer space or some sort of religious space. We have prayer mats on the floor, I guess. A lot of candles. And then screens. I guess you would like show things on the screens. I don't know what you would show. Some sort of indoctrination video, I guess. So this is the religious space. I mean, it is supposed to be a church. Church of the Machine God. Maybe they watch... What do they watch? What do you think they watch here? What is an appropriate thing for these guys to be watching together, communally? Like, instruction videos for like assembling your own computers? Maybe like YouTube videos of people like assembling their own computers. Anyway, so a religious space, a bunch of computer servers, and then if we go upstairs again, we have more fairy lights. Let me go to the other rooms first. I don't remember what these... Oh, this is just like a nothing space. It's not even a real apartment. Not sure what happened there. And that's also closed off. Okay, so the top floor, a lot of this is closed off, except for this side. So this is a special room. We have like a open space up to the roof. A lot of fairy lights, a lot of candles. And then we have like a bit of a shrine. Some sort of junk electronic shrine, not sure what's going on there.
Why do you interfere?
And then back here, this is their ascension machine, right? So this is where they were planning to upload their brains into the computer. Is something going on up there? And a big screen. So aside from the crazy cult stuff, I guess this used to be an apartment. What's strange to me is that there's no kitchen. There's no obvious bedroom either, right? So there's a bathroom here, and it's not very big, but there is a bathroom. And then in this space would have been kitchen, dining, lounge, and bedroom, I guess. It doesn't look like any walls have been removed because there's no traces of removed walls. So yeah, I'm not sure how to read this. It could just be an oversight. Because if they like knock down some walls, there'll be traces of where the walls were knocked down. If they haven't knocked down any walls, then how would this be arranged? I'm not sure. And there's like this stuff here. And then there's like another split level up there, but there's no staircase to go up there, you see what I mean? Like there's a split level, but then there's no staircase, so yeah, I don't know how to read this. I don't really know how to read this. Okay, so that's the Church of the Machine God. Basically what's happened is a cult of crazy people have taken over one apartment block, and then they've rearranged the stuff inside the apartment block. And then each apartment has become like a separate room, like a kitchen, a clinic, a dormitory, a chapel, and so on. So that's the idea. I'm a cyborg! Okay, next up, let's go to the subway. Oh, wrong way. The subway. And we're gonna take the train to Ruzicka station. I probably pronounced that wrong. So as we wait for the loading screen, Ruzicka station is a major train station. In the game, you arrive in Prague via Ruzicka station, and as you arrive, there's a big terrorist bombing. So the station has been bombed. That explains why everything's a mess. So you... Underground, the station connects to the subway system, which is where we are now. And then from the subway system, you go upstairs. And this has been blocked off because the station's been bombed, so it's closed. But we can't get past that. The game lets us get around the block if we climb a little bit and jump a little bit and then crawl through the ducts a little bit. We come into some service rooms and corridors, come back this way, and this is where they blocked off the entrance to Ruzicka station, right? So I was down there, the subway station is down there, and now we're behind this. So from the subway station, you come up, and you go upstairs. So this is all modern stuff, right? A modern subway system, go upstairs, through this doorway, and then through this connecting bit here, and this is Ruzicka station. So unfortunately everything's bombed out, and so it's kind of dark and we can't really see very much. Well, let's see what we can see, right? First of all, look at that. So we have big screens there, and if we look at the screens, that's a map of Europe, right? So Ruzicka station is a big international train station. You have trains coming in from all around Europe. So you come in international trains and you transfer into the subway underneath. That's the idea. So it's like a Ruzicka station is the international train station. And if we look, can you see that? Let me just use this real quick. That helps? Okay, that helps a little bit. So we have like a semi-dome. A dome on this side, so it's like a big dome space. And if we look closely at the details... So I'm not sure what to make of this, to be honest. It looks like, you know, Baroque detailing, but it looks also very new. And I was trying to think, like, how old do you think this station is? And I can't really tell because it's not obvious. Some of this stuff looks really old. Like, so this looks old, right? But that looks kind of new over there. Can I, like, get a closer look? Let me just grab my sniper rifle. So that looks kind of new, right? But this looks kind of old. And then this like sculpture here, I don't know if you can see what it is. If I like just turn this on real quick. So there's some sculptures here. So this looks kind of old, but the stuff around it looks kind of new. So it's possible that once again, what we have here is like an old historic building that has been renovated. And so there are some old parts and then some new parts. Because this stuff looks kind of old. Can I like turn this on? That looks pretty old, right? And of course some of this, there's like big panels, electronic screens up there as well, and so I think again there's like a mix of like old stuff and new stuff, and they're trying to make everything fit together. The overall space, like a dome like this, it feels old, right? It feels like a pre-industrial kind of thing, like the shape of it. But yeah, like some of this stuff you're not really sure. This looks super new. This all looks kind of brand new. In fact, like there's no age showing on that stone at all. So yeah, it could be like a mix of old things and new things again. It is bombed out, so there's not much for us to see, unfortunately. Over on this side we have a cafe. The cafe is unremarkable. Again, indeterminate age. It could be from like the 60s or something. Just looking at the wallpaper and stuff. Could be newer, could be older, can't really tell. Yep, not really sure. So on one side we have a cafe, on the other side, Dazzle, we have a magazine store with magazines, newspapers and books. Which again, I don't know why people would buy books. Or even magazines. Or newspapers. But there you go. So in the game, newspapers look like this. It's one of these glass e-readers again. So this is what a newspaper looks like in the actual game. That's a newspaper, right? So this paper stuff, I don't know what to make of it. It's kind of strange. Like the game itself is inconsistent. It's like, is that a newspaper or are these newspapers? Don't know. Let's get around this billboard area. So that side connects to the subway. I don't know where it goes to the street. I don't think they thought about this. Yeah, no, they didn't really think about this when they designed the map. Because if you look at the map, the main hall, this goes to the subways. So how do you get to the street? There's no street exit. And that goes down to the platforms. So the train platforms are through that way. Right? Right, okay. And there's not much else for us to see because we can't get past this. Just take one last look like this. Let's see. So this arch here, that looks historic. But in here, the arch doesn't actually arch, it kind of goes across like this. This is a very modern shape, right? That's a very modern shape. The fact that it's not an arch. This is a very, like, historic shape. It's strange. This is strange stuff. There's like a whole mix and match. I mean, it almost feels like a modern building pretending to be a historic building. But then you look closely and there are some historic bits in here, and so you're not really sure. Anyway, if you look too closely, it doesn't really make sense. But well, there it is. There's the station. Let's get back out of here. Maybe they never intended for you to look closely, and that's why they kept it so dark, right? Maybe they never intended for you to look closely. Alright, back out. How are we going? This is gonna be a long video, I think. Let's go to Palisade Station. Alright, as our buddy slowly walks on the train. So the train is a loading screen, in case you're wondering. Like why we're going on a train like this. It's a loading screen and the game's loading the level.
Just what the hell are you thinking? Trying to start a riot or something? Naturals only, Clank. Now let's see your paperwork.
Let's hurry this up. I've got places to be.
You really must think you're something special. Lucky your credentials stand up, but don't be cute again. Stick with your kind. Now go!
Ah, yeah, the game. This is how the game is. Can I beat her up? Alright, let's just go back to the architecture. I swear I took the old part of the trade. Doesn't really matter. So, coming back out of Palisade Station, we have the Hlavni apartments. This one,
I think my teeth
number
are falling out.
33. So remember, this was in like the fancy part of town. This is how like High Street, where the high fashion shopping area is. So here we have the Hlavni apartments. What's going on? First of all, very fancy, very shiny. The floor is extremely shiny. Everything's bright, everything's lit up. So this is the fancy part of town. This is where the rich people live, I guess. Except, like, what is going on? So the ceiling, there's the triangle bits, right? So there's like all the triangle tessellation, okay. And then on one wall, there's like this curvy stuff. You're like, okay. On the other wall, there's the old stone stuff. Okay. And then the floor is just shiny black. Like every surface is something different. What are you trying to say? I don't know. I don't know what is it trying to say. But everything, every part is different. There's a homeless guy. And the stairs have this little curved thing at the side. I mean, that's kind of cool, I guess. Except that, like, it's kind of like plastic here, and then there's timber there. Alright, through the courtyard. Oh, look at that. We have a fancy water feature down here. That's kind of cool. Well, it looks cool. It seems like it will be like a maintenance nightmare, to be honest. Because you see there's already leaves in here, right? Like all sorts of rubbish would just collect in there, and the water would get dirty, and... Yeah, no, it seems like a maintenance nightmare, but if you're willing to pay for the maintenance, that's kind of cool. I mean, like a little water feature down here. Especially with the lights, like the lights under the stone slab, so it looks like everything's kind of breaking apart to reveal light underneath. Oh, that looks very cool, doesn't it? It looks cool if you're not the one having to maintain it. Cause look, it's water, alright? Like, you know, you're gonna get like mold and moss and like dirt and like insects and like rats. Rats would come to drink the water. You're in a big city. There's gonna be rats. And the rats are gonna come gather here to drink. When they get thirsty, they so you're like walking through the courtyard and there's just rats drinking water. The idea is very interesting. In reality though, probably not as nice as you might imagine. Yeah, like... It looks cool in a picture, but... impractical, probably. Alright, so the architecture, over there we have... fake Baroque. It's not real Baroque. That's definitely fake Baroque. Like, if you look in an architecture textbook, Baroque architecture does not look like that. There's not little columns inside the detailing like that. They never did that. They never did this. And the columns don't go to the ground. They never did that. So this is like not actually Baroque, and they never did that shape either. It's modern stuff that's pretending to be Baroque. So there's that side. And then this side we have the big curvy panels again. Not sure what's going on. There's like glass balconies. And then there's like triangle stuff up top. It's just the real mishmash of everything, right? They just kind of took a whole bunch of different things and just jammed them together. It's like, you know, like when somebody talks a lot, but it doesn't mean anything. Like somebody just saying a lot of the words. It's like Baroque, curve, modern, triangles, and nothing actually connects. Nothing. There's no story being told. It's just a bunch of words. Is what this feels like to me. Just someone just yelling buzzwords at you, but they don't actually form complete sentences. Alright, let's look at these fancy apartments on the inside. Oh, how shiny it is. It's like stone, timber, glass, light, plastic. Yes, but why? Why did you jam every single concrete? Why did you jam all these materials next to each other? And like that doesn't look like anything else. Nothing looks like anything else. it's just all a bunch of different stuff. And then inside the apartments, it's also super shiny. Everything's shiny. Kind of cool though. Look at that. We have like a modern kitchen. Very cool. Very fancy. There's like green shelves. Green, white, black, brown, red. Alright, so behind the... Oh, this is bad. So behind the kitchen is the toilet. You never do this. It's huge though, so there's like a bath there. And then there's a big ass shower there. And the funny part is the shower only comes down. The shower goes straight down. And then there's all of this space, which I don't know what this does, because the water doesn't reach over here. Bath, basin, mirror, and then toilet. So you don't put the toilet behind the kitchen, because if you come here, like imagine you took a massive dump here, right? You just had a big ass poop, and it smells, and then you open the door, and you're in the kitchen. So now the kitchen smells like poop. And you never want your kitchen to smell like poop, because this is where you prepare your food, right? You don't want your food to smell like poop. So if you go to like any house, look in your own house. Well, maybe it depends. If your house is like just not very good, this will happen. But in a properly designed house, you would never put the toilet next to the kitchen. You would put them far enough away that when you're in the kitchen, you don't smell the toilet, because that really turns you off. If you're trying to eat and you can smell poop, that's no, you don't want to do that. So this is not how you're supposed to design your apartments. Over here we have a big fancy double height space. Isn't that fancy? Like, given that we're in the middle of a city, this is a lot of money, right? Just having a big space like this. Big expensive apartments. I guess this is the lounge. I guess this is dining. It feels like the space is underused. Just like there's a lot of empty stuff. I guess this is what luxury means, right? You pay a lot of money just to have nothing. Over here we have a staircase, and we have a bookshelf built into the staircase, so this is cute. And down here, look at that, we have like a little reading area. Oh, super cute, look at that. I like this. I like this, this is kind of nice. Having a little thing underneath the stairs where you read. Although there's not quite enough light for reading down here, is there? And it's also a little bit strange to have like a little nook like this when there's so much open space out here. Like, why would you read in here and not just read out here? So like spaces like this, often you'll find these in like small apartments. If you go to Japan, you'll find like a lot of like clever use of small spaces, because like especially in Tokyo, like in the big city in Japan, like land prices are high, rent is expensive, and so you have like really small apartments, and so you have like people using their spaces really cleverly. So then like you have a little seating area underneath the staircase so that you have more usable space in your house. So like when you have in a big city in a small apartment, this would make sense. This place is not a small apartment, it's a huge apartment. And so having like really efficient use of this particular space and then really inefficient use of everything else, that's a little strange. It's like, why would you... Like, you're using this so well, and then out here there's just nothing, right? And it's the big open, big old nothing out here. So that's a little incongruous. But this is cute, I like this. Up here, Australia. And then we have a mezzanine area, a pool table. And then back here we have the sleeping area. I'm not sure if we should call this a bedroom because there's no room. It's just a bed in this area. There's a little secret vault back here as well. And that is the fancy expensive apartments in the rich part of town. So it's bigger, it's shinier. It's a little bit interesting. But it's not architecturally interesting, like the furniture is interesting. I don't know if you count furniture as architecture. I guess you kinda do, but not really. Like spatially it's kinda ordinary. In terms of like the layout is kinda ordinary. But the furniture is pretty fancy, right? Oh, look at that, oh, curved bits there and like the staircase thing. So there's like a little, there's fancy bits, but overall the shape is not very interesting. And in fact the same applies for all the apartments. I'm not gonna go through all of them, I don't think. So like, what do we have? Lounge, dining, kitchen, and then back here we have big ass bathroom, right? And then we have bedroom, and that's the apartment. Very modern, white, clean and shiny. Seahorse art on the walls, very cool. Fireplace, very stylish. Sculptures, but you know, like spatially not that interesting. It's just like shiny. Alright, and every apartment's gonna be like this, so I don't need to go to all of them. So here you'll notice that the kitchen's over there and the bathroom's over here, so this is correct. This one is correct, the other one's not. Don't put the toilet next to the kitchen. Alright, and that's all of it. I'm not gonna show, so there's like 6 more apartments I think, but they're all the same. Alright, so this is the fancy part of town with the fancy architecture. I don't know, do we call this architecture? Is this architecture? It's a hallway, so they've put curvy panels on one side and the triangle bits. Is that architecture? Or is it just a curvy panel? Because architecture is not just wall panels, is what I'm trying to say. Anyway, it's a part of architecture, I guess.
Worse than the beggars.
Going to the next thing we're gonna go to. So there's a Task Force 29 headquarters. TF-29 is a Interpol task force here to fight crime in Prague, I guess. So we have this shipping company, Praha Dovos shipping company, but the shipping company is actually just the front for Task Force 29. If we come back to the back room and then if we press the secret button, there's an elevator. I don't know how they built this elevator. It looks like the elevator was built into an existing building, which is more difficult than you might imagine. Like, imagine you're trying to dig. Look how deep this is. Imagine you're trying to dig this hole inside your house. It's not as easy as you might imagine. Oh, we're just going to dig down and just keep digging down. It's fine. No, first of all, the foundations of your building are going to fall inwards if you don't support them properly, right? So as you dig down, you need to make sure you're kind of providing enough structure to your building so it doesn't all fall down on top of you. And secondly, you have to get the dirt out, right? This is a lot of dirt. This is several truckloads of just dirt and stone, right? So you have to, like, there's a lot of dirt coming out of your house. And this is like a secret base. It's a secret base and there's like truckloads of dirt coming out of the building, and what I'm trying to say is it's very conspicuous. First of all, there's like a lot of digging noises, and then there's like truckloads of dirt coming out. So I don't know how you're supposed to hide the fact that you've dug a giant elevator shaft inside your building. But that's the story, right? So they have a secret elevator inside the building. And then here's the Task Force 29 secret base. Oh, look at that! Look at that! Pretty cool, right? So what's happening? What's happening here is... if we look at these stone columns, look at these stone columns. Oh, look at that. And they hold up a stone roof. There's a vault up there. So, it turns out that underneath Prague, there are in fact dungeons and catacombs. All the way from back in the medieval era. So Prague is an old city, and there are actually tunnels and basements and catacombs. If you go to like Google image search and just type in Prague catacombs, I don't think there's that many of them, but they do exist in some places. Oh, look at that! So stuff like this. What is this? Underground of the old town hall. There's like old basements underneath the town hall, and then there's like a literal catacombs with human bones inside. I don't know if this is Prague. Anyway, a lot of old European cities do have catacombs and tunnels underneath the cities. And Prague does have some of this. So I guess this is what it's meant to be. Like this is like an old medieval dungeon that Task Force 29 has appropriated and converted into their secret base down here. So inside the stone chamber, they've put in this metal stuff, this kind of maybe temporary metal and glass and plastic stuff, partitions, and then they've put rooms in this space, right? So you have this kind of this metal stuff. Although, so I guess it's supposed to be modular. Does this line up? I guess it kind of lines up. I guess it's supposed to be like modular columns, and then you put in the panels and then the floors and whatnot. Kind of cool, right? Not sure how practical that is. The issue with this sort of stuff, it's usually designed to be temporary, and so they don't last very well, right?
If I have anything, I'll let you know.
And they're like not very good for maintenance, because imagine over time, how do you reach it? You can't reach in there, and so like you have rats in there, you have like cockroaches down there. Yeah, so I don't know, maybe this is all temporary, maybe they're only here for like a few months and then they're just gonna pack everything up again and then leave. I don't know, maybe. What I'm saying is, there's a lot of exposed wiring and a lot of like stuff that looks temporary, and you really don't want to use temporary structures like this for a long time, because they're not designed to be used for a long time. Anyway, over here we have a security cells, apparently a security room, and then here, this is interesting, right? So this stone stuff, so this is the medieval dungeon stuff, and they've like built the metal things right up against the old stone things. So we have a little bit of a dungeon tunnel, and I guess this is like an old... Yeah, no, there's something odd. So this stone is super old. This stone seems newer, and I don't know how the two fit together. And I'm not sure if the game knows either. They might have just kind of fudged it. So here we have like holding cells. You'll notice that the actual holding cells is modern steel and glass. Because although like the old stone dungeon, it looks like a dungeon, it actually is not as secure as modern steel and glass, right? It's like a modern steel structure is much more sturdy than the old stone stuff. This stuff is like the stone like this, it's not as secure as you might think. You can like dig the blocks out if you are patient enough. So this is the aesthetics of a dungeon, and this is the function of a dungeon, if that makes sense. Like this, like concrete and glass and steel functions much better as an actual prison. But this feels like a prison, the old stone dungeon. Alright, so this is the secure cells. I guess Task Force 29 just arrests people and lock them up. I don't know if this is legal. Back into the main space. I guess I should talk about the main space too. Although there's not too much to talk about, it's just like a big open plan office.
The amount of data to ship through is huge.
It seems like there's too many people and not enough workspaces. Anyway. Infirmary. We do have a medic. The infirmary is super bright. So hospitals are often super bright because
the reason we have to speculate so much is that they don't tell
when you're
us
doing
the time.
surgery, you need to see clearly. Like if you're doing any sort of like medical work, you need to see clearly and then be precise. And so like any medical facility will be super bright. So you don't make any mistakes when
Who
you're
owns
like
that place? The bank,
trying to
the
stitch people
government?
up or something. Over here we have the toilets. The male, hold on, the men's toilet. I don't think there's a woman's toilet. Is there a woman's toilet? Okay, this is the woman's toilet, okay. So there's a man's toilet. It's built in stone, so it's not the temporary stuff. That's interesting, right? So the workspaces is this kind of steel panel things. But the toilet is not. The toilet looks like it's built into the stone with new stone on the walls. Very modern, right? And you gotta wonder why they didn't do this treatment for the whole area. Because this looks a lot more permanent. All of this looks temporary, right? The toilets look permanent, but this looks temporary.
How many have they lost in the last 3 months?
And I'm not sure what that means. Over here we have a rest area.
The reason we have to speculate so much is that they don't tell us the time.
And like a cafeteria, I guess. Alright, this is where the food is. Notice that the cafeteria has these yellow lights versus the blue lights in the working area. So colors do affect psychology. The yellow stuff is warmer and more relaxing, and but the blue lights they're colder and more intense and more focusing. So if you want productivity, you would do this, because this stresses people out and keeps them awake, whereas this makes them feel comfortable. So if you want to relax, you would use warm colors. If you want to stress people out and make them work harder, you would use the blue lights. So this is like productivity lights, and this is like relaxation lights. The woman's toilet's pretty much the same as the men's. Forensics. Slightly odd how there's a really bright light there, but this is still super dark. Again, the lighting is a bit strange in the game.
Adam, good to see you. Is that a thing?
And then here with a psychiatrist. Oh, the psychiatrist also has warm yellow lighting, right? Not only that, we have timber floors as opposed to the steel. We have like couches, we have curtains, red curtains.
Adam, I'm glad you came back.
So psychiatrists also want people to relax, right? Not architecture. I guess this relates to architecture. So the way psychiatry works, they want you to relax because they don't want to stress you out. They're trying to. A lot of psychiatry is helping people who are distressed or traumatized in some way. And to help people who are traumatized, you don't want to continue traumatizing them. So you put them in a comfortable environment, so they can handle the trauma easier because they're comfortable. And so then you have like soft curtains, you have soft chairs, you have timber floors, you have yellow lights. So you create like a soft, comfortable environment so that people can relax and work through their trauma. So that's what psychiatry offices tend to be like. just kind of relaxing and comfortable. And the architecture and the lighting and everything else does contribute to that. Alright, on this side we have like a computer room and a briefing room. It's kind of cool, right, to see the how they've taken the old stone vaults and they've kind of built like the glass and metal rooms inside the old stone vaults like this. You see how like how that fits together. Although it doesn't really fit together because they leave open spaces like this above the walls, right? So it kind of fits together, but it kind of doesn't. Like there's a vault like that there, and then there's like gaps in the walls because like there's the curve of the vault, and then there's interesting.
Yeah, we've seen it already.
I'm not sure if that's practical, because you imagine there'll be a lot of noise, like you're trying to talk to your psychiatrist and then all this noise out here reflects off the roof and into the space below. So it's probably not very good acoustically, but yeah. Anyway, staircase. This staircase looks very temporary. Look at this. This looks very temporary. It looks like it would move a little bit when you walk on it, doesn't it? So not very sturdy. I have questions. I have questions about whether this is a good idea. Again, if you're only here for like a few months, maybe. But if you're here permanently, I would build a more permanent facility, right? So upstairs, we get a better look at the vault up here. The vault, it looks like it's been resurfaced. Like this looks very clean and very new. Like with the vault like this, over time, things would fall off. Like if you like have like concrete or plaster or whatever it is that you've kind of sealed the ceiling with, over time it will crack and fall down. Like not that quickly, but you know, over like 100 years, 50 years, 100 years, you know, you need to like maintain the thing. There's no cracks at all, so you imagine this has been put up fairly recently. It looks very well maintained, is what I'm trying to say. What is this? Cybercrime? Alright, more offices.
The amount of data to ship through is huge.
And then we have like servers, and we have computers here. And then we have the director's office there. Is there anything about the director's office? Not really, huh? It's kind of just messy. A really messy office. And really nothing for us to say about it. Okay, that's TF-29. Again, this kind of juxtaposition between like the historic stone vault and the like really high-tech futuristic, the wires and the computers and the metal and glass and all that. I don't know though. I'm not sure how practical this is. It seems like it's too small. It seems like there's not enough stuff. Like there's not enough weapons. There's not enough rest areas. Like you imagine, I don't know how big Task Force 29. There's a lot of people in here. For this amount of people, I would expect like a bigger facility. Anyway, minor things. If you don't think too hard about it. Because look at them. They're just standing around. They're not even sitting. They're all standing around. There's not enough seating areas. Anyway. Task Force 29 is Interpol. So they're police, international police, catching criminals, stopping terrorists, trying to stop terrorism. Yeah, no, I just feel like the amount of work and the amount of people, they would need more spaces than that.
Nice coat.
Alright. Next part. Over here, the game calls this Chikane's place. Chikane is the name of the pilot who flies the aircraft. So this is Chikane's place is what they call it in the game. The front is Workshop Matage, which is a toy shop or a puppet shop. A puppet maker? Interesting. Thematically interesting, right? Like artificial humans. Interesting conceptually. But that's just the front. Behind here we have planes. Well, what we really have is a helipad. Back there's a helipad. So this is the secret helipad for Task Force 29. Secret helipad. I mean, okay, you put the helipad behind the shop front, right? But if you have like a giant plane lifting off and landing on a regular basis, I think people would know. Because it's just there. Like, the planes are pretty loud. You're not gonna hide it like this. They have a toy shop, and then there's just kind of planes lifting off and landing all the time. I don't know who you're fooling. You're not fooling anyone. Anyway, this is the secret helipad. Inside they have a bit of a maintenance facility, which is cool. This is weird though. They have a fixed wing aircraft that's missing the wings. I don't know why this is here, because there's no airstrip back here. It's a helicopter pad. So this thing can't take off or land. So I don't know why this is here. If the plane wasn't here, then this makes a lot of sense to have a bit of a maintenance area for the aircraft, right? I think we need an elevator. Is this an elevator? Can you like lift things up and down? Because underneath we have a storage area, but this is like stairs. This would make more sense if there was a crane or an elevator or something, because how are you gonna get this stuff up the stairs, right? How are you gonna lug this up the stairs? So there's a storage area, but they don't have an elevator. There's also like a bed here. I guess Chikane sleeps here. They have a table, a bed. Over here we have toilet and shower. So the idea is Chikane doesn't get to go home all the time, right? Sometimes he has to be on call, on duty, ready to go. And so sometimes he just has to sleep in the hangar. Alright, upstairs and out into the helipad. So the game tries to tell us that there's just a bunch of abandoned buildings. A bunch of abandoned buildings surrounding an interior courtyard, and they've built the helipad into the courtyard. It's not really a helipad, it's more like a VTOL. So this is a vertical takeoff and landing aircraft. It's a jet aircraft. These are jet engines. There's like 4 jet engines lifting the aircraft straight up, and it's supposed to be secret. The distance between this and the street is like what? Less than 100 meters. Less than 100 meters from the landing pad to the street. There's a jet aircraft coming straight down and going straight up. And nobody's supposed to know about this. What's gonna happen is when the jet aircraft goes, it's gonna blast all the tiles off the roof of these buildings. Because those are tiles, right? Let me just take a look. Oh, I can't take a look. I can't put my gun out. Can I take a look? No? Nope. Nope. The game doesn't let me get up there. But yeah, those are tile roofs, right? So when the jet just kind of... it kind of comes, like it goes up, and then it does that, and then it goes... So as it sweeps across the roof, it's just gonna blow all the tiles off. I mean, already the buildings are abandoned, and all the windows are broken. Because when you land, like the blast of the jet's just gonna blow all the windows out. Anyway, there's a helipad in the middle of some buildings, and it's a secret, according to this game. Yeah, no, those are tiles, right? Yeah, no, those are tiles. I don't know if you like even a helicopter is gonna blow those tiles out. This is a jet engine. Alright, let's get out of here. So this is the secret helipad inside the city. So look, okay. What should it be? It should be bigger, and maybe it should be on top of a skyscraper. I don't know. It just. Yeah, no, this just it's not gonna work. There's no way you wouldn't know. Like the plane's right there, and the buildings are right here. Like you would definitely see it, right? You would definitely see the plane going up and down all the time. All right, over here we have the Libuse apartments. We have another apartment block. And this one looks more conventional than the last one. The last one had all those curvy panels and triangles and things. This is much more conventional. It's very traditional. It fits into the city. It's not necessarily historic. Right, that's not Baroque. That's kind of vaguely Art Deco. But this looks fairly new. In terms of the styling, this is metal. So it's a modern apartment, but they've made it look kind of historic. Like if you squint a little bit, it would look historic, but it's not actually historic. Down on the ground floor, we have a laundromat, which is probably a good idea, right? And then up the stairs. We have this. So this is not historic. This is fairly new. That's the style of it. This is very modern. So it's a modern apartment that's made to look kind of like it fits into the historic city. So if you look at like the trims, the moldings, and the window frames, so it's modern. But it's very traditional, right? It's very conventional. Alright, and the standard apartment, we have bedroom, lounge-ish, kitchen, bathroom. And this is pretty much what every apartment in this block looks like. We don't need to see the whole thing. They all look the same. Right? Right. So a very ordinary apartment. Something you would expect to see in a city like this. So we've been through 3 apartment blocks by now, right? So we have got like a run-down one, and then like a really expensive high upper class one, and then we have an ordinary one. And they're basically the same with slightly different decoration. Okay, next up. Where are we going? We're going into the red light district. Brace yourself! Brace yourself for scantily dressed women. So the Red Queen is the strip club / brothel, right? It's red. And let's go inside. It's red. And yeah, strip club. So aside from the fact that it is very red, and we have some lights, I guess, but in terms of architecture, it's just a very ordinary strip club, right? There's a bar, there's a stage, there's seating.
My God.
It's actually a very boring strip club. But I guess we can let them get away with it, because when you go to a strip club, you're not there to admire the architecture. You're there to look at something else, right? So,
Finally, a real man.
okay. So the European style brothels, out front they have like windows where the talent will try to entice you into coming into the store to maybe spend time with them, right? So there's that. I'm trying to decide whether this is a historic building or not. I'm not really sure. I don't think it is. No, it wouldn't be a historic building because this space is too big and there's no courtyard. So it's a new building that kind of fits into the urban pattern, but it is a new building.
These boys bore me.
Let's see, we have toilets back here. The toilets are unremarkable. They're clean. They're remarkably clean, but otherwise unremarkable. And then, if we go upstairs, on the second floor, we have private rooms. So in case you want to have a lie down, you can rent a private room. Oh, this is the manager's office, although there's no paperwork being done. It's just a bunch of shady guys playing with guns and smoking. So these are gangsters. Although this is a little bit too caricature, right? It's too much of a caricature. The manager really doesn't do any paperwork. It's just a bunch of dudes playing with guns. Alright, another private room. And then if we go upstairs again, we have another bar. Another bar with an outdoor area. And that's it. That's the whole Red Queen. So again, there's a lot of lights, right? So the lights are kind of interesting. Right, there's like those are kind of interesting. There's a bunch of fairy lights on the ceiling and everything's lit. It's really red. There's lights like those little lights on the wall, so that's kind of cool. But they're decorative, right? Like the spaces themselves are very simple. The functions are very simple. Like there's two bars, there's a couple of private rooms, and then there's like a stage for dances. So like the layouts and the spaces, it's all very ordinary stuff. The only thing that's slightly interesting is all the little red lights. So yeah, not much architectural merit actually, it's just... But you know, as I said, you don't go to a place like this for the architecture, so... Okay, and then we have to go to Dvali territory. So inside the Dvali territory, if you remember, there was the theater. The theater that's a little too small. Let's go inside. If we come into the theater, whoa! Look at that! It's a bit dark, but I think you can see there's a lot of expensive stone. There's a lot of gilding, shiny gilding and expensive stone. I mean, it's probably just a stone veneer, right? It's probably not actual blocks of marble, it's probably just like a thin sheet of marble on top. But nevertheless, it's expensive veneer. It's not cheap veneer. Oh, look at that, very fancy. So at one point, this would have been a very grand theater, right? The styling looks Art Deco, but with the columns and the balustrades and everything else, and the the windows, it's a very like a classical pattern, but it's Art Deco in styling. Oh, very fancy. I'm not sure if this is based on any real theaters. It could be based on a real theater. Unfortunately, we don't get to see the thing in its full glory, as in, like, properly lit up. Oh, and the floor's expensive too. Look at this. Look at the fancy stone on the floor. Although, you know, this is, like, small. Like a real theater would be bigger than this, would be like twice as big as this, at least. Anyway, let's look around. Over here, this is the cloak room. We actually have some cloaks back there. Interesting. Why is there a little gap up here? Right, cloak room. And then over here we have the souvenir shop. Souvenir me. Souvenirs? Alright. What used to be a souvenir shop? And then there's upstairs and downstairs, right? Back here, this is the ticketing booth, I believe. Right, get your tickets here. And then into the theater. That's been blocked off, but it is symmetrical, or would have been symmetrical. Here into the main theater, so lights. So we are the seating, and then there's the stage. We have private booths and an upstairs seating. So the shape of it is about right. The size of it is not, right? There's nowhere near enough seating. If you like look at a picture of like an actual theater in real life, a big opera theater like this, there'd be like at least 4 times as much seating. Probably much more than that. That floor to ceiling is way too low. So imagine this, but like just a lot bigger, and that would be like a real theater. It's a little odd because like the balconies are full size, but then there's not enough of them and they're too close together. So because they, you know, it's a video game level, they can't make everything full size, otherwise it would just be too big. But because they shrunk everything down, like the proportions are off. It's like in the last video I said it's like a midget in a tuxedo. It's very fancy, but it's too small. And it's the same here. It's like a midget in a fancy dress, right? It's like, it's very fancy, but it's kind of like the proportions are wrong. Well, not wrong, I mean, midgets are fine, they're people too, but proportions are different from what you expect. Alright. So the surfaces here, this is timber, look at that. So the fancy stone outside was very expensive. Once you get inside, this is all timber. And timber is cheaper, so there's that, but also the acoustics of timber is better than the acoustics of stone. Stone creates a lot of echo, timber creates less echo. So timber, the sound, it bounces off, but it's like, it dulls the sound as it reflects. Whereas when the sound reflects off stone, it's very sharp. So it's a sharp reflection of stone and a dull reflection of wood. And so when you have like an opera space, or like a orchestral space, you kind of want like a timber acoustic panels, because then you don't get the harsh echo from the stone. So it's not, I mean, it's partly because it's cheaper and you don't have to pay for the stone, but partly for the acoustics, right? So you use timber paneling for the acoustics. And again, this space is too small, so this should be at least twice as tall. And the fact that this is way too small means that they can't fit the seats in here. So you see these seats, these are supposed to be seats. Like these things, these are supposed to be seats, but they can't fit them in here in the game because there's not enough space for it in the game because they made everything way too small. Is there anything else to say about this? Not really. The ceiling could be fancier. That column needs to come all the way down. Because there's nothing holding that up. They took the column out because it would get in the way of the gameplay. Yeah, like when you shrink it down, there's a lot of odd bits that don't make a lot of sense when you look closely at it. Anyway, so if we come back out, so there's like the main seating area, and then there's access corridors down the side. So this is stone again, right? What is this? Oh, that's timber? That's stone? This is timber. Okay. They've painted it up, and there is a bit of gilding, but it's not the fancy stone. The floor is stone. I guess only the front entrance is the expensive stuff, right? So back here we have staircases to access the balconies, the private balconies. This is a little strange though, like this angle is a little strange, you can't actually see the stage. I think, yeah, no, in a real opera hall, these would be like further back, just be bigger basically. There'd be more spacing between everything. And this would make more sense, because at the moment, this doesn't really make sense, you can't see anything. Right, so like this angle makes more sense. Here, like this makes more sense, but then this is too close. Just jump off and this is... yeah. So now we have the upper seating. And then we have like a projector room. I'm not sure about the projector room. So it's a theater, yeah, but it's not a movie theater, is it? I thought this was like an opera theater. Maybe it's a movie theater. Anyway, there's a projection room, so they can show movies. This has been boarded off, but it would have been an open corridor, and this comes back to the entry hall again. So entry hall, upstairs, downstairs. So you notice that there's like, it goes upstairs and downstairs, and then there's like corridors and corridors. So it disperses the crowd very efficiently. It kind of like it's like a very short pass to any part of the seating. So that's important when you have a lot of people, you're trying to move a lot of people around, to route them efficiently, and just to separate them out and not have them get too crowded or get stuck together. So efficient circulation, fancy lighting. We have some toilets back here. Let me just take a quick look at these. Oh, very fancy toilets. Look how fancy these toilets are. Oh, look at that. Oh, look at this. Stone basins. Alright, the toilets are fancy. And that's it. Alright, back inside. So this has been boarded off, right? The circulation is too efficient. They had to board it off for gameplay purposes. So in the gameplay, there's like Dvali gangsters roaming around, and you need to get past them. How should I go about this? Let's go back downstairs. Oh, they broke this. They broke that and joined this up. Let's come back downstairs here. And then let's go backstage, right? That goes backstage, but I'm gonna come this way. So I'm just gonna run up into the stage. So that's the stage. And then as soon as we get past the stage, the backstage is not ornamented at all. This is just bare concrete and brick. So that's bare brick, and then brick on that side. So apparently it's a brick structure. I'm not sure how plausible this is though. I'm not sure how plausible this is. Brick like this. And like the walls aren't very thick either. I feel like if it's brick, the walls would have to be thicker. Anyway, not a big deal. Just kind of structure things to think about. Because it's a big span up there, right? So you need like steel. There'll be a steel beam holding up the roof probably. Yeah, I'm not sure that this should be brick. But the backstage area looks like that. Oh, there's probably not enough cranes either. I was thinking... So like what kind of stage? So there's like a projector up there, but this is not really a movie theater, right? This is like a stage show theater. Usually to move the props around, there'll be more cranes and stuff up there. Right, backstage we have some storage rooms. I guess you put all the props back here or something. I wonder if there's enough storage. Oh, these would be the cranes, I think. What's going on here? Cables? But they're not cranes, there's no pulleys. Yeah, not too sure what's going on. I think like they've put in some parts and then they've missed out some other parts from a real stage. Okay, anyway, down here, underneath the stage, we have the makeup and dressing area. Oh, look at that. So this area is fairly well done. Like, it's not luxurious, but look at this. They've got the stone veneer. It's only like a thin tiles though, so they have like stone tiles over the wall there. Oh, this is underneath the stage. Actually, let me just check this. Is this interesting? Not really. Kind of. So usually you would have like a lift to bring things up into the stage from underneath. But not here though. I mean, there'll be more storage underneath here and you can lift things up into the stage. So this is the makeup area. There's some nice couches, timber floors. So it's in bad repair, but if you imagine that it was in good repair, it's not bad, it's quite nice. So the area where the actors are is actually quite nice. Look at this, this is quite nice. Like, I guess like you have maybe sometimes you have famous actors, famous stage actors, and you need to treat them right. If you check this, like the toilets are really fancy. Remarkably fancy, the toilets. So I guess they treat their actors right. And then back here we have the Dvali boss's office. So this is a little odd, this room. I guess this would have been a storage room at the very back of the theater. In game it has been, I guess, converted into the Dvali boss's office. There's the shark teeth and the snake. Oh, scary gangster boss. But then aside from like the fancy stone furniture and the shark teeth, there's really not much here, is there? Like, it doesn't really say much about the boss. And in fact, if we think back about the entire theater, there's a theater, but the story is that the theater has been taken over by the Dvali gang, and now it's the Dvali gang headquarters, right? But we went through the entire gang headquarters and we didn't see any gang operations, right? Like what do? They smuggle things. They smuggle weapons, they smuggle drugs, they smuggle people. But we didn't see any evidence of that as we came through here. So the game didn't really use the opportunity to show us the Dvali criminal operations at all. Like, like, did they have weapons, money, like contraband? Well, we didn't see anything. Like, how did they move stuff back and forth? Like, what is the structure? What is the structure of the crime organization? Like, there's the boss. Okay, we have this. We have the boss. Okay, but what about everyone else? Like, are they lieutenants? Are they like money people? Are they logistics people? So the game had an opportunity to kind of have this combination of a historic theater, but then it has been taken over by a criminal gang, and the criminal gang has rearranged the spaces to serve their purposes. They could have done that, but they didn't do that. They didn't rearrange those spaces. They didn't put a gang in here. It's just like a theater. And when you play through the game, like, there's gangsters walking around, but nobody's working or anything. Like, there's no right, there's no paperwork being done. There's no actual logistics being done. There's no money changing hands or anything. So it's like, you don't really know what's going on. Anyway, back out of the theater. Like, it's a nice theater, right? Like, there's the backstage, there's a seating area, there's a stage, there's the front entrance. Like, all of this is kind of, they spent time and effort making all this. Oh, I can sneak out here, right? Oh, let's climb my way back out. But yeah, I just feel like they didn't really tell us anything about the gang that occupies this place. So the last thing we want to look at is the Dvali apartments here. So in the Dvali gang area, they have their own apartment block, which once again is the same entrance into the courtyard, into staircases, into apartments. So this one again is quite traditional and also quite nice actually. Look at this. The central courtyard, they've put down timber floors and have little seating areas. We have some old style lights. Ah, it's quite nice. Oh, not bad. They also have a laundromat down the bottom. Very nice. You know, the Dvalis live pretty well. I mean, they could probably hire some janitors to clean up a little bit. But this is kind of nice. Their apartments, let's take a quick look. Look like that, alright, very conventional. The furniture is quite modern. The styling is quite traditional, conservative. And that's about it. Not that much to say. Oh, kind of clean too, look at that. They have Dvali branded rugs. Or are these like shower mats? Bath mats? They have Dvali branded bath mats. That's very funny. English football? I guess it's a rugby ball, right? No, it's not it's a rugby ball because if it's English. Is it English? No, it's not English, is it? Is it a Czech rugby ball? It wouldn't be a football because Americans have footballs. Alright, so the other apartments are pretty much the same. Right, pretty much the same. Oh, look! It's a Dvali branded rug! Oh, something happened here. Let's not look too closely. I find that very funny. Dvali branded bath mats. So all the apartments are pretty much the same, except they're a different shade, right? So this is what? Dark green? The other one, that's like olive. The other one was white. And then if we go upstairs, we have like a maroon apartment. This is kind of a white one again. And then we have like a grey apartment. So same furniture, same styling, but different color theme. What flag is that? I should have done some research. Alright, so that's pretty much the Dvali apartments. Quite nice, quite well maintained. But very ordinary otherwise. Okay, so that's all the interiors, all the miscellaneous interiors around Prague. And like none of it is really all that amazing. It's kind of like, mostly it's filler spaces for you to explore. Like they look decent if you don't look too closely. Let me just run over to the other side of the city, and then we'll sum up. But like the city of Prague itself in the game, like there's a lot of it, but none of it is particularly special. Like there are special parts of the game, but they're like the city as a whole is pretty ordinary stuff. There's like the Prague is the main hub, and really it's the part of the game that you really spend the most time in, I think. You spend a lot of time running around Prague. But the cool architecture, right? The architecture with like the really wow factor is not Prague. It's other bits. Like it's stuff like that, Palisade Bank, which is like a separate area. So let me stop here. I'm gonna stop here because the next video we're gonna go inside the Palisade Bank. So to sum up this tour of the Prague city interiors, there's a lot of spaces, and I respect how big the game is and how many spaces there are for you to explore, but because they made so many spaces, they're not that special, right? They kind of like, especially the apartments. We went through 4 apartment blocks, and they're more or less just different texturings of the same thing, right? One of them is old and run down, one of them is super futuristic and expensive, and then 2 of them are just kind of conventional and normal. Like the layout's the same, the styling is a little bit different, but then it's all kind of the same thing in terms of spaces. So, like, it's not bad, but it's not amazing, right? There's nothing really special about it. And I guess that just goes back to the fact that Prague, as a city, architecturally Prague is a pretty conservative place. Again, because it's a World Heritage Site, like, yeah, the city planning rules forbid anything from really standing out, like because they're trying to preserve the historic character of the city. And even in the game, that kind of idea, it seems to carry through, that nothing really sticks out a lot. And I don't know, I feel like in a video game, you want stuff to be like, wow, that's amazing. You want to see some, oh, that's really cool. And I guess there are parts of the game where that happens, but not here, not in the main city. And that's a bit of a shame because you spend so much time in Prague in the video game. You come back to the city 3 times in the game, and each time you come here, there's a lot of stuff to do. So you spend a lot of time here, and it's just kind of ordinary. Oh well. Okay, let's stop this video here. In the next video, we're going inside the Palisade Bank. Okay, and from this point on, we'll see more like special stuff. Once we get outside Prague. Okay, see you next time, where we visit Palisade Bank.